Welcome back. Before we dive into tasting old ales, a big thank you to Northern Brewer on the Homebrew Forum, who very clearly and concisely set out and helped me to understand how the name Old Ale is used in the UK at the moment. It can be used, like Adnams Old Ale, to reflect that the recipe is old. It can be used to suggest that a beer is particularly strong or pokey. Or it can be used, as is the case here for the BJCP, to suggest that a beer has some aged quality which enhances the beer in a sense that in other beers or to excess might be considered false. So when you see old ales in pubs or supermarkets and bottle shops, it might reflect an old recipe, it might reflect the fact it's a stronger than normal presentation, or indeed it might reflect that the beer has been aged. And it's that last one that we're looking for. Anyway, let's dive in. Welcome back to These Ales of Wonder. Now we're still in Mark's brew shed, and joining us are two amazing brewers tonight. On my right, your left, we've got Jake, who's a top brewer, an eclectic brewer, succeeds at all styles. And then of course we've got Mark, who we introduced last video, who wins all the prizes. Jake, what are we looking at now?
So this evening we're going to continue to look at the strong British ales. These are the stronger non-roasty ales of the British Isles. So styles with higher ABV than bitters, milds or brown ales, and excluding porters and stouts. Tonight's beer is the Old Ale. So the big idea here is the impression of age. So it's oxidization, it's sherry, it's that winey kind of leathery kind of qualities that are fine. In other beers would be considered as faults, but in the Old Ale it gives a really nice complex aged character. To be clear, overly oxidized beers will not do well, and we're sort of shooting in the range of 5.5 to 9% ABV. So, Mark.
Yeah, we've got two beers in this category tonight. We've got the classic, or peculiar. Everyone's heard about that one. So I'm looking forward to having it again. And we've got a special beer as well to go with it, which is from our friends at Adnams. We've got both barrels, which is oak-aged broadside, for those of you who've had broadside before. So I believe they reserve a certain fraction of their production and put it in barrels. And we're going to taste the result and see if it fits in the category.
Okay, so Mark is poured the Old Peculiar first at 5.5%. What are we getting on this, guys?
Well, I get tons of toffee on the nose, a real sort of deep bready malt, sort of like I don't know, the edges of the burnt crusts of the bready malt, but it's super malty. And I personally always get a little bit of like prunes on this one. So like I said, I think this tastes a little bit like sticky toffee pudding in the glass for me personally.
Yeah, I'd agree. Yeah. Lovely colour.
Yeah.
Lovely head.
I mean, this is a classic beer for me. This beer takes me back to when I was 17. Sorry, I do this all the time, these stupid stories. When I was building dry stone walls on my summer holidays in the Lake District in the 1800s. And we'd go to the pub and we'd drink Old Peculiar in the evening, and it was zombie juice. Yeah, it was a lovely thing. I'm not sure where I would put this beer. It feels like a bit of an outlier as an old ale, because we're not getting the quality of age that is at the top of the list for an old ale.
Agreed.
Yeah, it's missing that sort of sherry, sort of slightly oxidised flavour. It's a very clean beer. It's sort of, like you say, it's missing that, and also just on the appearance, lovely colour.
Yeah,
Would this
real
be more
dark
than
copper.
More of a strong ale, then, do you think, than because there isn't really a, as you say, an age quality to it.
yeah,
Lovely drink, though.
yeah, lovely beer, absolutely cracking, and a British classic. But yeah, not sure about it here. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Well, from 5.5, we're now moving on to
9%.
9%.
Right. Adnams both barrels now.
9%. So it's the other end. So we had a 5.5 or 5.6, and now we've gone to 9. So both ends of the ABV spectrum.
That's a very complex nose.
It's fantastic.
Wow,
I experience
different.
vanilla as a smoothness on the nose, so that will be from the oak.
Personally, I think because it's Adnams sometimes have that sort of Belgian twang to
the
their banana-y sort of little bit of banana-y yeast, and for me, that smells like banana bread in a glass. That is really malty. That Belgian character's coming out.
I'd just add some sour cherries to the mix as well. It's,
What, on the taste?
Yeah, on the smell, and also hints of my favourite thing in the world, Brettanomyces. Well, interestingly, here's a nerd fact for you, because as you both know, I'm not a nerd at all. The BJCP guidelines in 2015 mentions explicitly in the old ale, mentions that you can have some restrained Brettanomyces. And it disappears from the 2021 guidelines, but I think this definitely has it.
It does.
For the layman, what is Brettanomyces then?
So Brettanomyces is an alternative yeast.
You had to ask.
Yes.
Oh gosh.
We could be here all night. So
I'm going to leave the garage now.
Yeah. It's a wild yeast that winemakers hate, and that proper connoisseurs of beers love. I won't go any further than this.
It's got that smell of the tannery.
Yeah, you're back
Very
on.
fruit leather,
Fruit leather, yeah.
some Madeira maybe.
It's definitely a sipper, right? And I think even though it's a 330 bottle, you probably could share it with two people or three people, because it's just quite a complex bit. I mean, it's not a pint, is it? It's not a chugging beer. Whereas
Especially
you
not
could
9%.
No, but even the old Peculiar had that, the other end of the spectrum. You could drink that quite happily.
Yeah.
Whereas this would be, I'm imagining myself sitting next to a fire in November in a pub, and just relaxing with a beer like that.
It is a very, very complex offering, that. And the age is in every sip, in every sniff of that. Because we know broadside, and this is just broadside in a barrel and time.
Oh, it's completely different. It's not. I mean, if you put broadside next to that, if you blind tasted it, you wouldn't know it's broadside.
I think you'd probably have died.
Well, that's a fine. So I'm not sure what we conclude. I'll try and draw this together on old ales. We've got one which isn't an old ale because it lacks Vinny's character, and we've got one which isn't an old ale according to 2021 because it's got Brett in it. So we've not tasted any old ales.
Complete success as usual.
Yeah, but if you were trying to put a beer into our competition, you'd probably shoot for somewhere in between, I think.
Yeah, that's a fair shout. It needs to be there. The beer needs to be there. Yeah, I think that the BJCP 2021 does say some acidity, and I think that's the saying. Yeah, not probably not as much as that, but somewhere here. Yeah. But two cracking beers. So if you can find them, do this one. Do try it.
Yeah.
See you soon in the next one. Thank you.